This is the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, and we already know that this is the best smartphone on the market right now, with the best display on any smartphone. I mean, this thing is unbelievable. An AMOLED Quad HD display, 534 ppi. You honestly have to see this thing in person to realize how amazing it is. A really impressive camera and the most stunning design, at least in my opinion. This is the phone that looks, I don't know, just take a look at this phone and look at how insane this thing looks. So the S7 Edge is already an amazing phone, but guess what? Samsung's already working on the next Samsung Galaxy flagship smartphone, the Galaxy Note 6, and yeah, it's almost here. So as always, welcome to the Zone of Tech. I'm Daniel, and welcome to another episode of my Final Leaks and Rumors series, the series in which I cover everything there is to know about an unreleased device. So in this video, I'll be covering the Samsung Galaxy Note 6. This is going to be a really interesting device. Enjoy. Okay, so starting off with section number 1, it's not a design this time, but a name. So there are reports suggesting that the Galaxy Note 6 won't actually be called the Galaxy Note 6, but a Galaxy Note 7 instead. And this is because, well, we have the Samsung Galaxy S7, the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, and obviously a Note 7 would be more consistent with the naming scheme. Now, I know this is not a huge deal, but I just wanted to point it out anyways. Moving on to the design, the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 was amazing. It borrowed the design from the Galaxy S6, which was already really impressive, so it had glass on both the front and the back, and now we're expecting the Note 6 to be similar to the S7 Edge, similar as in we're expecting it to have the same design as the Note 5, but with some slight improvements. So for example, sharper edges, and no chrome on the home button, so overall a much sleeker and stylish design. Similar to the design changes that we've seen from the Galaxy S6 to the Galaxy S7. Now also in terms of the design, you know how the S7 Edge has curved edges on both the front and the back? Well, the Note 6 is most likely going to have curved edges, but just on the back, so exactly like the Note 5 had. Let me know in the comment section down below, which design style do you prefer? The Note 5's design, which has a curved back, or the S7 Edge design, which is curved on both sides? Let me know in the comments. So this was the design, a lot of changes, and just some small tweaks and improvements. Moving on to section number 3, we have the display. So with the Note 6, we're actually expecting to see a slightly larger display this time. So 5.77 inches to 5.8 inches, so slightly larger than the 5.71 that we've seen on the Note 5 or the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. We're still going to get the exact same Quad HD panel that we've seen before, so 2560 by 1440 resolution, and that would bring it to a PPI of about 506 to 509 PPI, which is pretty good. Now because of that small increase in the screen size, and also because the display won't be curved, well, the display will actually appear much larger than on the S7 Edge. This also means that the Note 6 would actually be significantly wider than the S7 Edge, so really difficult to be used with one hand. But regardless, this is the best display on any smartphone. It's incredibly sharp and vibrant, and even though it's really vibrant, you can adjust that from the settings. So if you want to get a more natural looking picture, well, you can actually do that. But honestly, if you have the chance, take a look at a Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge display, take a look at a 4K video on that thing, and you would be blown away. Hopefully you can see how sharp this thing is from the video. Oh, and by the way, definitely watch this video in full 4K. And also let me know in the comments how many of you are watching this video in 4K. I should probably rename this channel to Let Me Know, or I don't know, Zone of Let Me Knows. Or something. And that was the display. Now moving on to section number 3, this is a pretty interesting one because we're going to see quite a lot of changes to specs. So in terms of the CPU, we're actually expecting to see something pretty unique. So the Qualcomm Snapdragon 823, which hasn't even been released yet. And yeah, this is a slightly better version of the 820 chip. It's clocked at 2.6 GHz and it's a quad core, so yeah, it's a monster of a chip. It still comes with the Adreno 530 GPU, however this one is actually slightly higher clocked than the one on the 820. So it's clocked at about 720 MHz, up from 624, so quite a big improvement to be honest. 100 MHz, that's quite a lot, especially on such a small mobile device. Now some of you might be aware that the Samsung Galaxy S7 and the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, this thing comes with a Snapdragon 820 chip in the US, and then outside the US and Europe and Asia, it comes with the Exynos 8890 chip, which is a chip made by Samsung. There's quite a lot of differences between the Snapdragon 820 and the Exynos 8890 chip. Those two are completely different chips. In case you want to know all the differences, I made a video just about this, 5 things you need to know about the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, and this is one of the topics I've covered in that video. Now the Note 5 wasn't actually released officially in the UK, and even in Europe it was pretty hard to get your hands on the Note 5. However, in the US it was, it was pretty much everywhere. And this means two things. One, if Samsung is going to release the Note 6 in Europe everywhere, hopefully, especially in the UK, if this is the case, then in Europe we'll probably see the the Exynos 8890 chip. So in Europe we'll have a slightly weaker chip, and then in the US will have the Snapdragon 823. So either this or a release just in the US with the Snapdragon 823. Okay, what else in terms of the performance? We have the CPU, we have the GPU. What about the RAM? Well, the Note 5 and the Samsung Galaxy S7 and the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, they all come with 4 GB of RAM, which is a lot for a phone, to be honest. However, the Note 6 will most likely come with even more RAM than that, with 8 GB. And by the way, the Snapdragon 823 actually supports up to 8 GB of RAM. That's 8 GB of RAM, and the Snapdragon 823, that's the maximum supported by the CPU. So who knows, maybe we'll have a model in Asia that actually comes with 8 GB of RAM. So maybe we'll have a Note 6 Premium or Note 7 Premium that comes with a 4K display and 8 GB of RAM. But yeah, this will most likely be just in Asia, and everywhere else we'll just see 6 GB of RAM. Just 6 GB of RAM. Also, to answer a question that some of you might be thinking right now, is it too much to have 4 GB of RAM on a smartphone? I actually did a video just on that in which I compare different smartphones, and yeah, the result is really interesting. Definitely check this video out. Now, also in terms of the specs, the capacity, I haven't said anything about the capacity. So 32 GB will be the baseline model. However, Samsung is actually working on a 256 GB Note 6. Do you need a 256 GB smartphone? Would you use 256 GB? Let me know. Again, I should probably change the name of this channel to let me know. But like, yeah, let me know. Anyway, these were the specs, and moving on to section number 5, we have the camera. So the S7 and the S7 Edge, those two phones have a really impressive camera. Now last year with the Note 5 and the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, yeah, that's a really long name. So with those two phones, we've actually seen the exact same cameras as on the Samsung Galaxy S6 and no improvements at all. And this is still going to be the case with the Samsung Galaxy Note 6. So we're going to get the exact same cameras as on the S7 and the S7 Edge. So a 12 megapixel sensor, f1.7 aperture, and also 1.4 micron size pixels. Basically, this means that the camera is going to be insane in low light. Yeah, so basically just like the S7 and the S7 Edge. 4K video recording is still going to be there with optical image stabilization. And speaking of optical image stabilization, there is going to be a small improvement there. So Samsung has actually applied for a naming patent, well, for a trademark, or Super OIS, which obviously comes from Super Optical Stabilization. So we might just see some improvements there. Now with the front-facing camera, we have two options. So option number 1 is the exact same camera that we've seen on the S7 and the S7 Edge. So still an f1.7 aperture, the same as on the back-facing camera, which is kind of impressive. In that case, we would get a 5 megapixel sensor, again f1.7 aperture, and 2K video recording up to 30 frames per second. And then option number 2 is the same f1.7 aperture, however with an 8 megapixel resolution this time. And in case you're wondering, no, 4K, you cannot actually take 4K videos with just an 8 megapixel camera. 4K is actually 8.3 megapixels. So if you have a 12 megapixel camera, you can record 4K videos. If you have anything lower than 8.3 megapixels, you won't be able to record 4K videos. 4K videos on the front-facing camera are most likely not coming with the Note 6. And this has been everything in terms of the camera. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so far we haven't seen that many changes. A possible naming change, the same design, mostly the same design as the Note 5. Then what else? Performance, huge performance improvements, and the camera, not a lot of improvements, well, just one maybe in the camera department. So it's awesome that we got some huge performance improvements. However, moving on to section number 6, this is definitely going to be the next most interesting section, special features, because there's quite a lot of them. So as most of you probably know, the S7 and the S7 Edge are water resistant, not waterproof, water resistant. Both of them have an ingress protection level of IP68, so you can actually submerge those two things, in water of up to 1.5 meters, up to 30 minutes, which is pretty impressive. So the first special feature is actually going to be this one, water and dust protection, coming from the S7 and the S7 Edge to the Note 6 as well. Number 2, one of the most exciting features in the S7 and the S7 Edge is, well, you probably know what that feature is, the micro SD card slot. So this thing was missing from the S6, which made a lot of users angry. And yeah, we have a micro SD card slot in the S7 and the S7 Edge. So micro SD card support is also coming to the Note 6, which is great. Let me know in the comments again if any of you actually use an SD card in your smartphone, and if so, what's the size of the SD card? Let me know. And the phone storage, why not? Let me know. Number 3, this is definitely the most interesting one, an iris scanner. So yeah, an iris scanner might be coming to the Note 6 just because Samsung has recently trademarked the words Samsung Iris and Samsung iPrint in Europe. Now I'm not exactly sure how well this would work, but it's really awesome to see that Samsung is actually innovating and including some pretty awesome features in their flagship smartphones. So I'm really excited to see how this new iris scanner will work if they're actually going to introduce this. Most likely, it would probably be much quicker to just use your fingerprint, obviously. but hey, it would still be pretty cool. Number 4, USB Type-C port. So with the S7 and S7 Edge, unfortunately we didn't get a USB-C port, we still have a micro USB port. So why was that? Well, in case you don't know, it's actually because of this. So this is the Samsung Gear VR, and the Samsung Gear VR might make a video about this someday, so let me know in the comments if you want me to make a video about this. But this thing comes with a micro USB port, and imagine if Samsung replaced all the ports in the S7 and the S7 Edge with USB Type-C ports, well, they would have to produce some new Gear VRs, which would have cost them a lot of money. So they decided to keep the micro USB port. Pretty smart move, Samsung. But the USB Type-C port is expected to come with the Samsung Galaxy Note 6, so this means that we will most likely see a brand new Gear VR as well, with some new features, hopefully, and yeah, a USB-C port as well. Other than that, we're also going to get some improved S Pen functionality, some new features, some new apps with S Pen, and that's pretty much it in terms of all the special features when it comes to the Galaxy Note 6. So up until this point, you might have noticed that I haven't said anything about the battery life, and that's because, well, the battery life is going to see some pretty huge improvements, and it deserves a separate section. So section number 7, the battery life. So the Note 5 came with a 3000 mAh battery, which was okay, but it was actually weaker, it was actually lower in milliamps than the Note 4 one. Now the S7 Edge actually comes with a huge 3600 mAh battery, and this is by far the best smartphone battery I've ever used. I mean, you could easily use this phone for 2 days straight with no issues, and it would just last you. That's how good this thing is. It's amazing. And with the Note 6, we're actually expecting to see some huge improvements when it comes to battery life. So there have been some leaks that suggest that the Note 6 will come with a battery between 4000 to 4200 mAh, and that's insane. Okay, Daniel, well, how is this possible since the phone will pretty much have the exact same battery when it comes to its size? Well, think about the S6 and the S7. The S6 came with a 2550 mAh battery, and then the S7 came with a 3000 mAh battery. So basically the same size battery, it's just more dense, so to say. Is the battery going to be removable? No. Moving on to section number 8, when is this thing going to come out? Well, the full production is expected to start in July, so not a long wait until the full production starts, and then it's expected to be released in August, obviously, of 2016. So the wait is almost over. And again, I really hope that this is officially released in the UK as well, because yeah, the Note 5 wasn't, so I'm really hoping that we would get the Note 6 in the UK as well. But if you're watching this video from the US, you're definitely going to get the Note 6 or the Note 7 depending on its name. Also let me know in the comments where you're watching this video from. Comment the number of times I've said to let me know in this video. Let me know. But yeah, moving on to section number 9, we have the price. How much is this thing going to cost? Well, as I said before, the baseline model is going to be the 32GB one, and then we'll also have most likely 64 and 256, but at the same time keep in mind that we are still going to get a microSD card expansion, so even if you do get that 32GB baseline model, you would still be able to further expand the storage. Now in terms of the actual price, it's not going to be cheap, so it's actually going to be a bit more expensive than the S7 Edge, which was already pretty expensive, so expect it to be priced around $850 or £700, and that would be for the 32GB model, so yeah, definitely not cheap. So overall, the Samsung Galaxy Note 6 is going to be really similar to the S7 Edge, as in it's going to be an iterative upgrade rather than a completely new phone, and that's not really a bad thing, to be honest. The Note 5 already had an amazing design, incredible performance, an amazing camera, and the Note 5 is going to have a slightly improved design, amazing performance, so even better performance and even better camera. It's also going to be water resistant, microSD card slots, so we're actually getting quite a lot of things. But the real question is, will people actually get the Note 6 over the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge? Because they're pretty much the same phone. I mean, except for the fact that this one is curved, and the Note 6 will most likely not be curved. Except for this thing, you get a slightly faster processor on the Note 6, you get more RAM, and you get that extra S Pen functionality, which is great, but at the same time it's more expensive than this. And this thing, since you have a curved display, it's actually easier to hold it, so you can actually use it in one hand, which is pretty impressive considering that this is a 5.7 inches device. So that's really impressive. So let me know in the comments if you don't have an S7 Edge now and you want to get a new S7 Edge or the Note 6, you know what I mean. Which one would you prefer, the Note 6 or the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge? Let me know in the comment section down below. But this has been a really long video again, so if you've made it to this point, let me know by hitting that like button down there, smash it. Let's see if we can hit, I don't know, 3 likes. Maybe we can hit 3 likes. By 3, I mean 3 million, obviously. Just joking. Let me know in the comments if you made it to this point by saying I've made it to the end of this video. Hashtag Note 6 Epic or Epic Note 6, whatever. Let me know, whatever. And also how many times I've said it, let me know in this video. Also feel free to subscribe if you want to see more Final Leaks and Rumors episodes, and also check out some other Final Leaks and Rumors episodes I've done before. And also don't forget to turn on notifications on my channel on both desktop and mobile by simply clicking that bell icon next to my channel so that you're notified as soon as I upload a brand new epic video. But yeah, this has been it, so thank you for watching this video. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Xenofstack, signing out.